The Massachusetts Attorney General-elect Andrea Campbell is our guest this morning. Let's go on the record. After a history-making victory on election night, the former Boston City Council president takes on a statewide role. What will her first steps be as the state's top law enforcement officer? The new AG-elect is in the House. Let's go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
And welcome to OTR, everyone. I'm Ed Harding, along with News Center 5's political reporter Janet Wu. It's great to have you with us this morning. After Tuesday's election, women now hold 5 of the 6 constitutional offices in the state, and one of them is sitting right here at the table with us this morning, Andrea Campbell. She is the Attorney General-elect. She will be the first woman of color to hold that office, a former member of the Boston City Council, a candidate for mayor in 2021. She is a native of Boston. She holds degrees from Princeton and UCLA. Well, do we go, thanks for being here, or congratulations? Let's do both. Thanks for being here and congratulations.
Thank you, and I'm happy to be here. And I was telling Janet, I'm honoring her too. You know, 50 years of incredible leadership and service.
And no, the spotlight's on you absolutely at this point. I mean, a historic win for Massachusetts as well as for yourself. And I know you have not even taken office yet. You've only had a moment to breathe since you celebrated. But we wanted to ask you some real basic questions about what you plan to do. You campaigned on the promise to reform the justice system. Much of what you're calling for requires the approval of the legislature and of the governor. So we'd like to get some ideas, some specifics of things that you want to do as the state's top litigator. What do you hope to change?
First, number one, I stress that I want to make the office more accessible. I spent so much time on the road getting out to Western Mass, Berkshire County, communities outside of 495, the South Coast region, so many parts of the state that feel left out and left behind. So strengthening the regional offices that exist, expanding them is critically important. You can't actually do the job of delivering services to constituents if you're not present or accessible, number one. Everything having to do with criminal legal reform, prison reform, juvenile justice is near and dear to me, obviously because of my personal narrative, which is quite tragic. But it's a set of issues that also came up on the campaign trail that affect not just communities of color, I'll name it white residents too. As we criminalize mental health or the opioid crisis, these are issues that folks care about. And then everything related to the Supreme Court is really important too.
But a lot of those things have to be done through the legislature. What, as the litigator, as the state's top litigator, give us an example of what you could do to change something within the justice system.
A lot. And actually, you can do a significant amount directly through the powers of the AG's office without going through the State House or the legislature. You think about the Department of Correction, which has been in the news for a whole host of reasons, not the most transparent or maybe accountable agency, given some of the recent concerns. You are the state's attorney, you represent this agency, critically important, but you have power to work with that department to push them to do and be better. Mental health, I care deeply about mental health, would prioritize making sure families have access to behavioral health services. What is the office doing right now? They're using settlement funds from the opioid crisis settlements and making sure they're investing in community-based organizations so more folks have access to mental health services, including young people. A whole host of things that office can do with the talent, the lawyers, and the resources it has.
And as the Attorney General, you're going to work closely with state police. Your predecessor, who is now the governor-elect, stayed away from demanding reforms of an agency that has been mired in scandal and problems. So what do you plan, if anything, to do about this?
Well, number one is I got to get there. So we are still in transition. I'm talking to some incredible state troopers.
But it has to be in your mind. It has to be in the back of your mind.
A whole bunch of things
a list of things.
A whole bunch of things. But at the end of the day, I have to form a really solid team of leaders and talented folks. There are incredible folks in the office right now who I hope will stay and carry on their duties and responsibilities. So number one is making sure that I'm hiring a really great staff. And then, of course, making sure the office is responsive to what I heard on the campaign trail. Public corruption came up. Folks don't want anyone misappropriating their funds. Folks want everyone to be held accountable. No one is above the law. They want us to focus on economic prosperity. I think there are tools in the office to help with that. Inflation, mental health, the Supreme Court, reproductive justice. But before we get to all of the issues, I have to form a team and make the office more accessible.
You can't say that you would demand reforms of the agency until you get in and looked exactly what you're talking about.
That's right. It's one thing to hear things on the trail from the outside.
Right.
It's another thing to go into the office, to have deep, thoughtful conversations with the lawyers who are doing the work and the staff every single day to get the full picture of what a case is. And there's still a lot to get get and to assess. So, everything will happen in time. But I can promise constituents all across the state, it will be an office that is responsive. We will get out there and educate folks on the power of the AG's office. We will work in partnership with national attorneys general to make sure that we're responding to issues. And Massachusetts will continue to lead on a whole host of issues.
I want to use a word that a lot of people are very sensitive about and makes a lot of people defensive. But as a city councilor, your detractors said that you supported defunding the police and restructuring departments. As the Attorney General, you won't have much say on the budgets of local police departments, but do you feel that police budgets are too big, especially seeing the shootings in this past week?
So much of the criticism was unfair. I chaired the Committee on Public Safety for the Council for 6 years, working with the police department, the fire department, EMS, everyone, to make sure they were more diverse departments, they were well-resourced. I was the only candidate in the race, primary and the general, to actually work with the governor, Governor Baker, across the aisle, to bring in resources to the Boston Police Department. But what I recognize is Boston gets a lot of the resources. Other departments, rural communities, western parts of the state, they don't get the same level of resources as a Boston. So many of these departments are under-resourced, as they're going to have to comply with post requirements, other new requirements that have come out of the recent criminal legal reform legislation. They're going to need resources. But you can have both. And this is where the conversation really needs to go to. You can have well-resourced departments, but at the same time make sure they are diverse, make sure they're transparent, and if something goes wrong, everyone is held accountable.
What do you think about the word defund the police?
I think it's confusing in many ways.
Do you want to cut back on some of the money that is being spent unwisely?
Well, I will say, I remember when the term first came out. For some, it meant abolish the police departments. For others, it meant redirect the resources to mental health and other socio determinants of what causes crime and violence in the community. I was activating city-owned vacant lots. That is one tool that actually disrupts violence in the community. And so I think it's being creative. But get away from the language, which is confusing, and be direct. For me, is make sure departments are well-resourced, they have the staff they need to reply or respond to calls, and at the same time, put in systems that create transparency and accountability and get rid of the racial disparities that exist in policing, because that is still very real.
You touched on it a little early, but let's dig a little deeper right now. Maura Healey, as Attorney General, had great success in suing big corporations and bringing money back to Massachusetts. So will you continue that focus on what you think needs scrutiny?
Absolutely, and that's come up. There's our current Attorney General, who will be our next governor, and I'm very happy for her and all of the historic women candidates. It's remarkable what Massachusetts is doing right now. That leadership I would continue. There are a lot of corporate bad actors out there that should be held accountable, that profit off of the pain in communities. Price gouging, though, has come up quite a bit. Ways in which to take on things related to that, I think, are significant when we think about inflation and economic prosperity. Housing is coming up quite a bit. People are fearful of a foreclosure crisis. Tenant-landlord relationships, a lot of tenants being pushed out of their communities through all types of practices. Mayors are dealing with that in a lot of different communities, and I think the office can be doing more there. So I look to build upon the leadership of Maura Healey, along with every AG, going back to Frank Bellotti.
I want to ask you about cryptocurrency, and I know many of us don't understand it completely, but what about cryptocurrency and the meltdown at FTX?
I did hear about that this morning, and obviously want to have more conversations with folks in the office. But when you think about the next horizon of the next horizon of issues, the way in which we are doing banking and our finances, consumer protection is one of the main responsibilities of an AG. This is going to be a place where the office has to be really aggressive, proactive. Some of the customer service, for example, that folks are engaging with are through social media. You are right for all types of privacy concerns there. So there's a lot the office will be doing in that regard, I'm sure.
Is there a role for the Attorney General in helping to resolve the homelessness problem in Massachusetts, specifically Mass and Cass, which is as much the state's responsibility as Boston's, according to the mayor, Michelle Wu? Do you agree with her? And is there something for the AG can do about it?
Absolutely. And I think you have to be at the table with the district attorneys, with the mayors, everybody. This is the opioid crisis, the uptick in drug abuse, mental health, homelessness. I see all of those issues as being intersectional. And there is a way to respond from a public health lens. There's a way to respond from a public safety lens. I grew up on Mass Ave. We were very poor, very tragic upbringing, but we did not have needles in our parks. We did not have folks laying on the ground. You didn't know if they were dead or alive. And in Massachusetts, when you think about the resources we have here, the medical ecosystem we have here, it's unacceptable. Everyone is going to have to play their part in creating more housing, supportive housing, more treatment facilities, and making sure it's accessible in every county in Massachusetts. Regional equity is still a major issue in this regard.
So the state needs to step up.
Absolutely. Everybody needs
And
to
it
step
hasn't
up.
so far.
I think, I don't want to look backwards, I want to look forward. And let me tell you this, women are going to be doing some remarkable work with a sense of urgency with our Boston Mayor, Mayor Wu, and every other mayor, frankly, across the Commonwealth. All of us are going to have to play a role to deal with these crises that exist in Massachusetts. No one person can do it by themselves.